Most home sellers, they have at least 5 of these 9 things in their home right now, and every single one of them is gonna cost that seller money on the sale. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through what you should never have inside your home when you're selling it. And these are the same 9 things that I check for with every client before they list. And when you get rid of them, you're gonna sell faster, for more money, and with less stress. I'm Weldon Hobbs, and I help those that are 55 and over align their life and wealth goals with their real estate decisions. And if you like this type of content, hit that like and subscribe button and let's get into it. Point number one is the one no one wants to hear. So let's just rip the band aid off. When your house is being shown, be somewhere else. And you need to take your pets with you too. They need to be gone. I know it's your home, you love it, you're comfortable in it. And the idea of clearing out every time someone wants to walk through it, that feels like a lot because it is. But there's a shift, a mental shift that you have to make. Today, it is a more competitive market out there. And the moment that that sign goes in the yard, and assuming you've priced your home well and it's getting the exposure needed to bring traffic through that front door, then others want to see it as well. Your desire to stay and not leave when they're there, that directly competes with their desire to come through that door and have an experience that hopefully your listing agent has set up for them to where they're like, oh my goodness, this is a place that I want to be. That's the goal, is to have them have that feeling so that a way they want to put an offer on your home. I want you to think about this. If you're standing there in the kitchen and they walk in, they're not going to linger. They're not going to be curious about the closet door and just go open it. They're not going to be dreaming and thinking about their life in the primary bedroom if you're standing there because you're there. It's your reality and they're just visitors at that moment. They can't see themselves experiencing the home and living the life that they want to live. And when you layer in the pets in this case, so think of a dog that's barking in the background or birds that are chirping, those buyers, those same buyers are going to be distracted instead of dreaming. Now, there are real security concerns out there. Now, I want to be fair about this. If you want somebody there to be watching, then in that case, ask your listing agent to be present. Good listing agents, they know how to do this. They do it all the time. They know how to inject value into the conversation without it becoming awkward. They're pros. And on top of that, if you have cameras in the house, I would disclose them with a little note on the front door and just go park down the street. When you see they left, pull back into the driveway. Because the goal here, it's always the same. It doesn't change. The goal is to get the most money for your home. Get as many buyers through that front door as possible and feeling like it could be their next home. But you standing there in the living room, that's going to work against that. And if going through these actions, if it seems like too much, there is another way, and that's to go explore some cash offers. You're going to sell at a discount, but you have that trade-off where you don't have to show the home. And point number 2, your personal stuff is a distraction. So the mail that you grabbed the night before or on the way in, the paperwork that's sitting on your desk, buyers most likely are not going to go digging through it. But if it's sitting right there in plain sight, wandering eyes wander. It's none of their business, of course, and honestly, it just reads as clutter when they walk in. But this goes beyond the stack of the mail on the counter. I'm talking about anything that grabs a buyer's attention instead of letting them focus on the house. That could be walls covered in sports memorabilia, collections, political signs or slogans, or even a lot of religious decor. And a simple cross on the wall or a family Bible on the table, that's not what I'm talking about. The goal isn't to hide who you are. It's just to avoid anything that makes a buyer stop thinking about the home that they're in, that they're standing in, and then they start thinking about your personal beliefs or your interests. So swap it out. Pack that personal pointed stuff away. You're moving anyways, and put up something neutral. You're not erasing your personality. You're still living in this home, but you are making room, just enough room for the buyer to imagine their life. Here's point number 3, and this is really a continuation in the vein of point number 2. I want you to take a walk through your home and count the photos throughout it. So a few photos, that absolutely makes sense. I'm not saying to make the place feel bare like a hotel. When you have a few photos spread out through the house, it actually makes it feel warm, and that's perfectly fine. You want it to feel inviting. And just like we talked about, the goal isn't to hide who you are, it's to make sure that the home stays the star of the show in this case. And remember, the first showing, that is not your living room anymore. It's online. Most buyers, they decide whether to schedule a walkthrough based on your listing photos. If there is something in those photos that turns them off, they may never come through that front door. And you're never even going to know that they were even slightly interested. When they do walk in, those walls of family photos can make it just a little harder for them to picture their own life there. And I've walked into homes where the entire staircase was just covered with family photos. To that family, those pictures tell a story of a lifetime. And that's an incredible thing. We all have that in our own homes in our own way. But buyers, they aren't trying to picture your life. They're trying to picture their own life. You're only going to pack those photos eventually anyways. So box most of them up now, leave a few that add that warmth, and give buyers a little more room to imagine making their own memories in that house. Now, point number 4. This one has less to do with selling your home and more to do with protecting your family. And if you were on the fence about point 1, make sure to tune in because here's another one. If you have kids or grandkids in this case, and their names are on the walls, whether that's a name decal, a custom artwork, or stenciled letters in a bedroom, I would take those down before the listing photos are taken. And here's why. The moment that your home goes on the market, those photos are online for anyone to see. And most people, they look at them and they are legitimate buyers. They don't even give it a second thought. But the internet is public, and your listing also includes your home's location. There's no reason to make it any easier for a stranger to connect a child's name to that address. This isn't about staging, it's actually about privacy. So pack up anything that identifies your children or your grandchildren before the photographer arrives. It's a simple step that costs almost nothing, and it's one more way to protect your family while you're selling your home. This is point number 5. Pack up your valuables, your medications, and your firearms. And I know the pushback, the buyers coming with their agent. How much do I really need to worry about this? My answer, it's always the same. It is better safe than sorry. Jewelry, cash, anything of real value, put it in the safe, take it with you, get it out of sight. And as far as medications, especially anything that's a controlled substance, I'd take it with me. Why leave it to chance? And of course, firearms. If they're in a safe, great. But if that safe is sitting in an open closet, throw a blanket over it. If you've got a display case, cover it, move it out entirely. 2 reasons why I say this, and they're both simple. 1, it's a security risk, and you're advertising to the whole internet exactly what's worth taking and where it lives. And then number 2, some buyers, they're just sensitive to certain things, firearms included, and it does nothing to help you sell. So out of sight is half the battle. This matters even more with open houses, and we're going to dive into that one at the end of this video. And here's a quick reminder. None of this is about hiding who you are or trying to make life inconvenient. It's about one question. When a buyer walks through, are they picturing their life or looking at yours? Keep that in your head for the back half, these last few points. And you're going to be trying to liquidate one of the biggest assets that you have, that you own in your lifetime. And you'll see why it matters even more. All right, on to point number 6. And this is a specific one, but I get asked about it constantly. If you are a hunter and you've got taxidermy or mounted trophies in the house, it's time to pack them away. Unless it's part of the aesthetic of the home, and I'm thinking a Colorado mountain home where they just complement the overall look. Okay, that's one idea. But otherwise, put them in the garage. Not everyone loves them the way that you do. And a lot of buyers, they're actually genuinely put off by them. And just like the political art, if they see it in the online photos, they may skip the house before they ever walk in. It sounds short-sighted, But that is our behaviors today as human beings. You think about how quickly people scroll through reels or YouTube shorts, whatever it happens to be. And when they do walk in, it's the first thing that their eyes go onto. They tend to be large, so they shrink the room as well. Get them out of the main living areas and at a minimum, put them in the basement or storage or the garage. If they're too big to move easily, pay somebody. You're moving anyways. Remember, this decision is not about you. It's about taking the steps necessary to let you move from one chapter to the next. All right, here's point number 7. Take a hard, honest look at your window treatments. If they are faded, worn, dark, heavy, or they've been hanging there for the last 15 years, they are likely working against you. And I get it. Maybe you love that cozy, dim ambiance that the heavy curtains and the dark walls, what they create, they set a mood that we love. And in your home, that's completely your call. But when you're selling, buyers want light today. They want to see space and air, not a room that feels closed in. So dated treatments, also quietly, they tell that buyer that the house, perhaps it hasn't been updated. And that thought spreads to everything else that they look at. So in this case, you have 2 options. Replace them with something simple, neutral, and current. It doesn't have to be expensive. And a good agent, they're going to tell you the right color and the length for the room. Or if replacing them isn't in the budget right now, take them down entirely. I would rather show a clean, bare, light-filled window than a heavy one, a tired one. Bare is going to beat dated every single time. Point 8, this is about the furniture, especially if you've been in the house a long time or you inherited pieces that you're attached to. Over the years, furniture that it just accumulates. In a room that used to feel open, it starts to feel full. I had this exact situation with a client recently. It was a beautiful living room. It was cathedral ceilings and a gorgeous fireplace and a mantle right along with it. But a huge sectional, it was set up in a way that blocked the entrance and made the whole room feel small, unnecessarily. I asked, is there any way that we can make half of this disappear, this couch? And they actually said, we're not even taking it with us. Perfect. And suddenly, the thing that I saw as this block in like a visual block for seeing this incredible room, we removed it. And so now you could walk in and you saw the ceilings immediately. You saw the fireplace, and it was a huge draw. So walk your rooms. This is what I'm suggesting. Walk around and ask the honest question. Is this piece of furniture, is it helping the room feel bigger, or is it in the way? And if it's in the way and you're not taking it, take it to the basement, take it to the dumpster, donate it, put it in storage. I don't care what you do, but take it out of there because it's going to pay off in the end. Less furniture almost always makes a room feel larger, and larger is going to sell. Point number 9, clear your countertops. And I'm talking about in the kitchen and in the bathroom. And this one feels small, but it has an outsized impact. In the kitchen specifically, I'm not telling you to strip every surface until it looks like a showroom floor. That is probably too far. But it is fine to leave a coffee maker. It makes sense. We use it every day. What I am saying, though, is showcase the counters. The more surface area that you can show and that a buyer can see, the bigger and more functional that kitchen is going to feel. I had a client with 3 different coffee makers out on the counter because they like the different flavors or styles of coffee. That's great. That's awesome. Pick one of them, though, for the listing. The moment we cleared the rest of them, he was like, oh, wow, look, counters. It's just, we saw it immediately. It was a huge difference. And in the bathroom, this is usually the worst offender, to be honest. And it's all about convenience. Toothbrush holders, every product that you own, that you use every day, all out on the counter. The fix here that's going to save you is buy a few small bins. Everything sweeps into that bin. The bin goes into the closet during the showing, and it comes right back out afterwards. Yes, again, selling your house is inconvenient, but the details are exactly what makes a buyer think this home is cared for, that the owner cares about the buyer's experience. And that's the feeling that gets you an offer. All right, the bonus tip that I promised you back at point number 5, and this is about open houses. They have gone hand in hand with selling a home since forever. You put the sign in the yard, you open up the door, you have cookies baking, and it's a great experience. But I'm going to gently tell you, for most sellers, that ship has sailed. And think about what an open house actually is. That sign, it tells the entire world that your house is open to anyone, not pre-qualified, not pre-approved, not accompanied by an agent. This is the nosy neighbor and the not so serious buyer, and occasionally someone with worse intentions. They're all able to walk through your house, your home, mostly unsupervised. And that's while the agent is standing there at the door. They're collecting names, they're doing what they need to do. But that's a security risk from number one, but multiplied. And the quiet truth about why open houses they still happen, it's usually not about selling your house. It's about the agent generating leads. Everybody that walks through and doesn't want your home is a potential new client for them. Now, some agents, they have extremely effective strategies with doing open houses. So if your agent does suggest that, make sure that you understand what that strategy is before you allow it, because they can pay off with the right thought behind them. But ask that question when you're doing the interview. Saying, hey, do you plan on doing an open house? If the answer is yes, great. How many successful open houses have you had where somebody actually came through and wanted to buy it? And again, that serious buyer, that pre-approved buyer, they do their first showing online, of course, and then they're going to book a private appointment. If they're not going to schedule a showing, then they weren't really a real buyer. Again, there are real world exceptions, weird work hours, medical situations, working from home, where condensing showings, that makes the most absolute sense. But that should be your decision, not necessarily the agent's decision. Go with their recommendation, but ask the right questions first. So that way you feel confident that that's the right thing for you. And again, most people, the open house, it carries way more risk than reward. So at least think twice before you agree to one, or understand the true strategy behind it before allowing the open house to happen. Now, here's one thing that I want you to hear, because it's the whole point. I'm not asking you to do all 9 of these things perfectly. This isn't a test where you need every check mark. Real life, of course, does not work that way. But notice what every single one of these had in common. None of it was really about the stuff. It was about one question. When a buyer walks through, is what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, is that helping them picture their life there? Or is it pulling them back into yours? If you're considering selling your home, or maybe you're thinking about downsizing and what that future looks like, here's what I suggest. Look at that life goal. What are you trying to get after? Optimize it for wealth, and then focus on the real estate. Get those first 2 goals clear in your head, and the house and the real estate, it's going to fall right into place and be a whole lot simpler. I'm Weldon Hobbs, and remember, good decisions, they start with good information. And I'll see you in the next one.